All right, so in the estimator, if we go to jobs, we have a prorate and then an indirect. And so I'm going to jump to the summary really quick and just show an overall process. Prorates show up in total cost, so they'll show up in this column here. Indirects show up over here. So the reason that the indirects show up over here is because these are getting spread to everything over here. Prorates are actually increasing the actual cost of the job. So let's look at this 33,000 here really quick. I'm going to go job, indirect, and the indirect has this number of $33,000. So if I right click and I go what if, and I go back to the summary sheet, notice that cost has been removed. So the way that the summary sheet works itself out is that this markup, this markup, this markup becomes to these totals, then that gets marked up here to create this subtotal, the indirect gets added, and then gets this markup total. So you're not marking up your G&A or your bid expense on the indirect cost. So the indirect is outside of cost. It still tracks material, labor, subs, and all those, but it does not track it in here. So watch this number here, 1184. I'm going to go back to the indirect job, indirect item, and then I'm going to what if it, which puts it into the job. The summary, this total did not change, but that changed right there. So conversely, I'm going to go job, indirect item, and then I'm going to what if this item, and then I'm going to go job prorate. And so prorates are items that may have multiple items that I want to spread across. So let's just take, for example, this supervision. I'll make it 10 days. So we'll see a larger cost. And so this is going to be, just for an example, this is going to be $59.90 in labor and $1,300. Let me make it 100 days. So it's a larger number. So now it's 85,000 bucks. If I go into here, it's $13,000 in equipment and $59,000 in labor, a total of $72,000 in cost. So I'm going to now go uncheck that and then go to my summary sheet. That number has been now increased by 72,000 bucks. So if I go to my rounding sheet, it's going to tell me that the supervision has not been spread, but that cost has been driven into the job. It shows it up here. Now I'll go job, spread prorate, supervision, and now I will pick those items that I want. Let's just say I want to put it in earthwork, box culvert, and sewer. So those three items now will get, notice the remaining to spread. So then now I want to spread it by cost. It's now taken that $72,000 and dispersed it specifically to those three items. Now that item has been zeroed down. There's one more item to spread prorate. That's why it's showing that. There's that 974, and I spread that. That's now zero. Now that's zeroes that out. And now if I go back to my summary sheet, those costs have been appropriately spread through the rest of the job. So notice we do not have an indirect, and those costs in the prorate have been spread to cost.